If you're a projector in the human design system and you are trying to build or grow or scale a business and you're trying all the things and it just feels harder than you think, and so many of the things that you're trying to do to get attention are just not working, like people are still ignoring you, then this video is for you. This video will also be helpful if you're somebody who coaches or teaches human design and you are any other human design type other than a projector, and you therefore don't have an embodied experience of what it feels like to be this group of people who really needs attention, but sometimes goes about it getting that attention in counterproductive ways. So over the next 10, 12, 15 minutes, I'm going to go through 8 ways that projectors commonly try to get attention. And only one of these is the right way to get attention that is going to lead to success and all the things that you're looking for as a projector. And if we haven't met before, hi, I'm Carolyn Southwell. I'm a 2/4 emotional projector. And over the last 10 years of working with human design, I have been actively unraveling all those unhelpful ways that we as projectors can tend to try and get attention. Just trying to cope in a world that isn't really very well set up for us. Now, the things I'm about to list out, pretty much I've tried and done most, if not all of them at some point. So if you hear me talk about one or more things on this list and you're like, eek, please know this video is not about shaming anyone for anything. It's about helping you to gain awareness of where you might have some patterns that are unproductive and unhelpful, so then you can start to shift them to things that are going to work much better for you. The first way I see projectors trying to get attention is by being clever. Now, lots of projectors are naturally clever, but if you are trying to use your knowledge or your expertise or your wisdom or your intellect in order to get attention, then that is not going to lead to the kind of invitations that you're hoping for. So this might look like sharing your opinion when somebody hasn't asked for it. It might look like you sharing an idea or a solution to a problem when nobody asked for it. Or it might look like you showing off how much you know, not in order to be of service to your clients or customers or your people, but just for you to demonstrate how clever you are. Now, I have 100% been guilty of this. It was one of the ways I got attention in childhood, and there's every chance that the reason that you're doing it is because that was one of the ways that you coped with childhood, or you had this reinforced of like how important it is to look clever and to be clever. You might have even gained a sense of self-worth and self-esteem like I did from being clever. But I can tell you that if you do it in order to get attention, as opposed to it just being a natural expression of who you are, it is not going to lead to the invitations nor the success that you're really seeking. The second way I see projectors trying to get attention is by being unusual. So doing things that make you stick out in public. So, the person who wears really bright colors when in their culture in that time of year, people wear more subdued colors, blacks and grays and beiges. Or it could be that you ride a unicycle when everybody else rides bikes, or that you have lots of tattoos when tattoos are not normal in your culture. Every time we see a person sticking out in public, it's because they're doing something weird or unusual. And if you're doing this as a projector in order to get attention, I want you to know that this is going to be a waste of your time and energy and attention and focus and maybe even money. Because if it's not actually your authentic expression to do those things, then while you're going to get attention, you're going to get the wrong kind of attention. Again, it's not going to lead to the true invites where people are really valuing and recognizing you for you. Now, there are a group of people who, by design, by their human design chart, are going to naturally stick out and do weird things. So if you are somebody with a lot of individual energy, you will naturally do all this weird and wacky shit, right? And that is totally normal for you. Now, if this term individual energy or individual circuitry is new to you, that's totally cool. Human design is a very large system with many, many, many layers, and it takes years to really understand everything about yourself, even if you don't dive into understanding all parts of all of the chart. So, most people have some individual energy. So there are ways that we are designed to be a little bit quirky. But if you are somebody who has a chart that is dominated by individual energy, you're going to stick out, and your authentic expression is to be totally weird and to be very, very different and very unique from a group. And if that's the case, it's really helpful to know that. I can walk you through your chart in a private session and tell you more about you, including how much individual energy you do or don't have. And you can learn about these circuits in any decent human design book. Now, back to the main video. Another way I see projectors trying to get attention that is a little bit misguided is by showing off how wealthy they are. So you might be a projector who has a lot of money and is used to gaining the attention of others by being in beautiful brands, by having a big flashy house or car, or any of these things are totally fine if that's your authentic expression. But if you're doing it in order to get attention, then it's just not going to lead to the sort of invites that are going to make you warm and fuzzy on the inside, right? No amount of money that you can receive or that you can show off to the world that you have is going to lead to the kind of invitations that are going to give you the kind of success that we're talking about in human design, because success is not about finances. Now, if you're somebody who as a projector is struggling financially, I know it can look like, oh, success is like all of this material wealth. Now, let's be honest, we need money in this 3D reality, but no amount of money that somebody can pay you, and I have learned this the hard way, no amount of money that somebody can pay you is ever going to cause you to feel what Ra was talking about when he was talking about success. Success, and actually I've got a whole video on success, so I'll make sure I put it up here or down here. But it is more a feeling of like, oh, I successfully guided someone. They need to pay me for that. But that's sort of a side note. It's just a bonus almost. It's just kind of a necessity of the process. The whole point is the feeling that you get of knowing that you've not only been invited, but you've been able to successfully guide someone. So please don't get caught up in this idea of like success is money and using money and wealth and all of the bling to get attention, because it's still going to leave you feeling empty inside. The fourth way I see projectors trying to get attention, and by the way, these are in no order of importance or regularity that I see these, they're just a list of ways. So the fourth way that I see projectors trying to get attention is by trying to be the best at something. Now, some of you will have a unique design that means you are here to practice something towards mastery. Again, you can either go dig through human design books or you can have a one-on-one session with me and I will tell you if that's you. Here's what I want you to think about. Was I being the best kid because I wanted praise from mum and dad? Was I being the best student at school or university or college because I wanted a pat on the back? Am I being the best employee or the best volunteer, or am I trying to be the best CEO so I can gain all the awards and all the praise? If you're doing it, and you'll hear me say this again and again in this video, if you're doing it in order to get attention, as opposed to it being the authentic expression of who you are coming through you might get attention. You might get a lot of attention. I know projectors who have got truckloads of attention, but they still are lonely, miserable, and empty on the inside. What you're looking for, and what we'll move towards as we go through this video, is the feeling of success. That only comes by receiving a true invitation. And that can only come if you're getting attention for the right reasons. Hey, if you're finding this video helpful, can you give it a thumbs up? That will send an invisible signal through the interwebs to the YouTube head office and say, hey, this video is really great. Share it with more projectors. Well, you know what? Bonus tip. One of the ways that projectors can try and get attention is by being funny when they're not naturally funny. Some of us are better at it than others. Yet another way that projectors might try and get attention is by working harder than everyone else. Now, we can get away with this in the beginning, you know, as a child, a teenager, a young adult. Many of us, I have been 100% guilty of this, many of us can run around like a headless chook and do more than everyone else for a while. But it comes at a cost. It comes at the cost of burning out, because it's not how we're actually designed to operate in life. And if you're getting attention by being the hardest working employee or the hardest working startup entrepreneur that is determined to get to decamillionaire before you're 25, that is not going to lead to the paths that you hope for. While it's going to get you a lot of attention, it's going to lead to burnout, and it's not necessarily, you've heard me say this before, it's not going to lead to the kind of attention that you really want. It's not going to lead to the kind of invites that you want. So if this one's your pattern, have a think about that. And at the end of this video, I'll have some suggestions for how to walk yourself from where you are now, which is totally okay. It got you this far, to being more in alignment with your beautiful, wonderful human design chart. Now, there's another way that this hardworking projector behavior can show up, and that's in doing endurance sporting events. Now, I totally did this. I had a period of time where I did multiple ultra marathons. And while there are a small posse of projectors who it is completely correct for them to do, if you're one of those people, for you to do endurance events, again, you can look it up in books or you can talk about it in a session with me. But unless that is your authentic expression, unless you feel like you naturally have a lot of endurance and it doesn't burn you out, if you're doing any kind of endurance sporting event, in order to get praise, in order to have people say, oh, you're wonderful, look at what you did. I'm saying this to myself, remember, right? No shaming here. If you are doing that, it is counterproductive unless it is your authentic expression. And take it from me, who learnt the hard way, you are going to burn your body out. And while it makes for a great story, I could tell you stories about my ultra marathons and what I learned for days. It makes a great story, but it's still not going to lead to the business growth and the creation of the lifestyle and the family and the relationships that you want. The sixth way that a projector might try and get attention is through misbehaving. Now, this might look like you being the naughty kid. You might remember if you were the naughty kid who was always misbehaving just in order to get some attention, because the kid who is getting no attention knows that negative attention is better than no attention whatsoever, right? Remember, all of these patterns started in childhood, and we will keep playing them out until we look at them and go, oh, that is not working for me. How am I going to shift this? So misbehaving as an adult could look like any number of things. It could look like you being a bit of a troll on the internet and saying nasty shit on other people's social media content or blog posts or in Reddit forums. It could look like anything all the way through to like shoplifting or any sort of illegal behavior where you're doing it almost kind of hoping to get caught, right? Hoping that it will bring you some kind of attention. But if this is your pattern, then it is helpful to recognize it so then you can shift it and realize as a child, you were just coping the best way that you could, and that's okay. But now there's an opportunity to do things in a way that will work better for you and everyone around you. The seventh way that projectors can try and get attention. Now, I almost didn't include this one because there is every chance that I'm going to upset a bunch of people. And if that's you, I'm really sorry. My intention is not to cause you pain or to upset you. But I've decided to include it because it's so damn important that if you don't realize that this is what you're doing, you could play out this pattern for the whole rest of your life and really never have the relationships, the financial success, the business growth that you really want. Now, please know, as I tell you this, this has 100% been one of my biggest patterns, along with being the good kid, the clever kid, the, what was my other one that I said? Oh, of the working hard. This one, I 100% did so much, and it has taken so much unraveling. And that is talking about your illnesses or your injuries in order to get attention. Now, before you click away and get all cranky with me, I know it hurts. Please know this comes from a place of love. If this is you, there can be any number of reasons that we might be collecting injury after injury as a projector, that we might be accidentally hurting ourselves, or that we might have developed any sort of chronic condition. It is very common for projectors to develop chronic conditions as we get older because we're not operating the right way for us. And especially if you have a lot of openness in your design, it can be very challenging, which is why I'm like, you know, let me be the messenger that delivers the difficult message, but please know I do it with so much love. There can be any number of reasons, and if you had a really horrific childhood, there is every chance that as you watch this, your physical health may have been challenged for a really long time. But here's what I found. If you have an illness or an injury, there is a certain amount that you need to talk about it in order to get the help that you need, in order to get care and physical support to function in the world. And if you find that you are talking about it any more than that, if you are using that in order to get attention, you may keep getting attention, but you're going to get sympathy. You're going to get pity. You're going to get people who want to rescue you. What is really helpful is to only talk about your illnesses and injuries, one or the other or both, as much as you need to in order to help yourself get better. Talking about it with specialists in order to get actual support, talking about it with healing facilitators of any sort of modality in order to like work through what might be the underlying causes. But talking about it more than that causes the people around you to pity you, hold you in that vibration. They're going to hold you in that view of that's who you are. And we burn out the people around us. I have seen this. I have burnt out people around me by talking too much about the things that are wrong instead of just getting on with the things that I could do. So if that has been you, if this has been your primary, or like me, it was one of a handful of ways that I was getting attention, it's really important to one, go, oh crap, okay, that's my pattern too. I'm going to start to wean myself off the attention that I've been getting for that reason and still do what I need to do to care about myself. I don't want you to completely shut it down, be completely stoic and pretend that nothing's wrong with you, because that doesn't help you heal either. But there is an opportunity in terms of improving your relationships, growing your business, improving your finances, and all the things that you might want by starting to wean yourself off any of these behaviors that you might be doing to try and get attention because there's something wrong with you. Which brings us to the eighth and only way that is correct for all projectors, regardless of your configuration, to get attention that will lead to the success and the life that you truly desire. And that is possible when you learn how to love yourself enough that you can be yourself in the world. Now I'm going to talk about how to do that because I know, Carolyn, easier said than done. I can hear you. But loving yourself enough that you can be yourself in the world. And here's what happens. You then start to get attention from the right people at the right time, and they will invite you into all the coolest shit you can possibly want to do in your life, right? That's where you'll get true invitations. And when you get those invitations, then you get to guide people in the way that you are uniquely designed to guide. Then you get to see what it feels like to successfully guide your fellow human, which is what we're here to do as projectors. That's all we're here to do, is be ourselves and contribute to the world by guiding other people. So while we're all going to do it in different ways, you are here, like me, like every other projector on the planet, the billions of us that exist, you are here to express the definition in your chart and be wise about the openness of your chart. And that's what you offer the world. For the brand newbies here, definition just means all the colored in bits on your chart. So if you look at the torso where it has all the shapes, all of those colored in bits is where you are defined or where you have definition. And all of the white bits is what we call openness. They are open or undefined gates or centers or channels. So the more you can know yourself, love yourself, and be yourself, the more you'll get attention for all the right reasons. Now I know, easier said than done. 10 years into my experiment, and I have an embodied experience of how challenging this can be at times. But I do want you to know that while this process takes time, nobody found their human design chart and suddenly could 100% live an aligned life. It does take time. So there are two broad behaviors, two basic behaviors that you can practice over time that are going to help you move into greater and greater alignment with being yourself. One of those is learning, and the other one is unlearning. So let me explain what I mean by that. Learning means you learn about your own patterns. So like through this video, you might have spotted some patterns that you weren't aware of. It also means learning about your human design chart so that the more you understand your chart, the more you can be like, oh, I am designed to do this and I'm not designed to do this. So it can help you course correct to a more authentic expression of who you are. The other thing that also helps is learning a deconditioning tool so that you can unlearn, so you can decondition or unravel the patterns of behavior that are counterproductive for you. Now, I do this through tapping. So if you've seen tapping before, it's this thing. You're tapping on your face and parts of your body and your hands and your fingers. I'll put some resources above me here and in the video description if you're very new to that or you want to see more about how I communicate that. But it's essential that you have a way, whether it's tapping or some other way, to unravel the stuff, unravel the patterns that are not helping you be who you came here to be. If you got to this point in the video and you're like, Carolyn, this just feels like an uphill battle, like, where do I even start? Is this even possible? I want you to know that change is possible. It may not be very quick. It may take some time. It might take some patience. It might mean that you need to learn some new skills. But I want you to know that change is 100% possible. I have transformed so many areas of my life in the last decade, and I am confident that you can as well. So if you want to know which behaviors you should keep and which ones you should give up, then you can ask yourself any of the 3 following questions that you find helpful. Am I doing this in order to get attention? Second one, would I still do this thing if there was no chance of applause or praise or awards or fame or fortune? Would I still do it? And the third is this thing a natural expression of who I am? Any behavior you do in order to get attention, rather than it be a natural expression of who you are, is going to damage your health. It's going to limit the potential of your business and the success that you could have in your business. And it's going to cause you to have unfulfilling and not as meaningful and juicy relationships as you could have. Just imagine for a moment how wonderful it would be for you to have vital, vibrant health, for you to have a business that is successful with a team of people who have your back and customers and clients who really value your wisdom and guidance. And you get paid to do fun stuff, to provide fun products and services. And that feels really successful for you. Imagine if you had relationships, platonic, familial, romantic relationships that felt really nourishing to you because you're in relationships with people who really like you, for you, because you're just being yourself, and these people vibe with you as you do you in your unique way in the world. I wish for you to know how wonderful this feels, for you to get attention for the right reasons. Now, if you feel like you're a really long way from that now, have a look at some of the resources I've got on screen here, and I'll also put them in the video description below this. And if you found this video helpful, please consider sharing it with a projector or somebody you know might benefit from this in this beautiful, big, wide web of ours.